Okay, so now that Andrew Benetendi is off the board, signed 5 years, $75 million deal with the White Sox, and I'm sure the bigger blow of the day was Joey Gallo going to the Twins for 1 year, $11 million. I know it's a little devastating, so bear with me. Talk amongst yourselves. Yeah, I wish him well, man. Good for him. But let's talk about these, options that are available for left field for the Yankees. And at this point, unless they plan on signing Michael Conforto to a short 1 year deal or a 2 year deal with an option, or prove it kind of deal on cheap, let's remind ourselves of the fact that Hal's already doled out like $550 million. I mean, 80% of that, or 85% of that went to Aaron Judge, okay? But it doesn't matter. He spent that much money. Finish the job, dude. Don't stop now. Get the right guy for left field, okay? And please don't be afraid, Brian Cashman, to ship off some prospects, because hugging prospects has backfired on the Yankees so many times. And not getting a fair shot or whatever it is just hasn't worked. So let's talk about some guys that we'll go over a couple guys that a lot of people are talking about, and maybe I'm going to bring in somebody that no one might be thinking about, and a reliever too. We might have a couple of multiplayer trade options here, and I'm not saying that these guys are it's being worked on and blah blah blah. I'm not starting speculation; it hasn't started yet, but these guys could definitely represent options that could benefit the Yankees. Now let's talk about some of these guys. Okay. By the way, I'm going live tonight, 9:30 p.m. Eastern. So for those that enjoy this content and you're not subscribed, please subscribe to the channel so you know when videos come out and you know when the live streams come out. They're always Saturday night, 9:30 Eastern time. So, and I'll usually go available sometimes during the week, especially if we have breaking news, and there's been a lot of it lately. So, and there's more to come. I think it's going to be the trade market's going to pick up soon too. And I think it's probably going to be the right route for the Yankees. But let's go over there. Let's go over two of these Arizona Diamondback outfielders. Okay, we'll start with Dalton Varsho. I mean, he has the unique ability. He has a unique player combination, a position, catcher and outfield. I don't know many players that do that. That's cool. And he does both well. Okay, so credit to him. He's young. He's 26 years old. He's got, I think, 4 years of control left. So young players that are productive with controllable years on the cheap are nothing short of gold. I've said this repeatedly. And those are the types of guys. And again, the Arizona Diamondbacks have a surplus of outfielders that they're looking to move, at least one of them. So these guys are superfluous pieces, but they're good pieces. So we don't know which piece they're going to move, but the two most frequently talked about guys, well, there's three, Corbin Carroll too, but he's not available apparently. So, but Dalton Varsho had 27 home runs this past year, made some mechanical adjustments to his swing over the season, and had a huge improvement. So kudos to him. Okay, and 235 batting average, not a high average, but 125 hits and 531 at bats. He had almost a 5 WAR. Okay, 4.9 WAR. Now keep in mind too, with WAR, I don't really obsess about WAR, because if you're on a better team, your WAR is going to go up. WAR can be affected by so many different other factors that are out of our control. So, there's only so much juice I give WAR in terms of impact. I mean, obviously, it tells you how much you impact the game, but you could be a closer not getting a lot of closer situation opportunities, and your WAR could be affected negatively because of that, because your team sucks. So it's just it's part of it, unfortunately. So, but pivoting over to his teammate Jake McCarthy, another young kid. Was he 25? Yep, and young dynamic. Now he had a smaller sample size, so he had 8 home runs, 43 RBIs, with an average of 283. And an OPS of 769 with 23 stolen bases. The stolen bases thing is a good thing for me. And we want guys who can run the bases. So, and so small sample size. I don't really do this projects outwards to this many. I don't do that. I don't do the projections thing. I just want to see the full sample size. So, but again, he's shown his potential. And again, he's got controllable years on the cheap. A bunch of them. So he's going to cost a boatload. So these are the two guys that we've been talking about in terms of potential trade pieces from the Diamondbacks. Okay? Now, there's some other guys too. The guy that's like the flavor of the week now, who's Max Kepler from the Minnesota Twins. So, to me, it's a hard no for me. Okay, if you look at his stats and extrapolate everything from OPS and all these other things, he's not much different than, especially recently, than Aaron Hicks. So if we're going to get somebody for the left field, it's got to be a significant upgrade. And unfortunately, he does not represent that. Okay, I'll give you some stats here. 9 home runs this year, about a 227, 88 hits and 388 at bats, 2.1 WAR. So, and again, he's got 2 controllable years. He's a decent player, but I don't think the right fit here. And again, I think we need an upgrade. And to me, the top upgrade is Brian Reynolds. I've been talking about this dude for a year and a half. So, and finally, he's asked to be traded. And I know Pittsburgh's resistant to that, but if they get an offer they can't refuse, they'll move him. Okay, I'm confident of that. Now, he had a little bit of I think it was an ab or an oblique injury early in the season, so he had a slow start, but he wound up with 27 home runs, 262 batting average, 142 hits, and 542 at-bats, had a WAR of right around 3, 2.9. And again, this guy does some of the other things that these other guys do. He steals bases. He's also a switch hitter, and I think he would be a perfect fit for Yankee Stadium, particularly if he was a leadoff hitter. Could you imagine him leading off and then DJ batting second, and then Judge batting third, and then so on? I mean, there's an argument to be made for DJ leading off and somebody like Reynolds second, but to me, I'm just going to give you an example. Let's say Brian Reynolds gets on with a single or a walk, and DJ follows him up and hits a double. Well, Brian Reynolds will score on that. If you flip it around and DJ walks and is on first and Brian Reynolds hits a double, the chances of DJ scoring are very low. So we need somebody who can run at the leadoff spot. And that's exactly what Brian Reynolds does. That's exactly what guys like Jake McCarthy do. So there's an argument to be made for having a fast guy at the leadoff spot. And again, with his switch hitting abilities, it doesn't matter if you're basically a righty pitcher or a lefty pitcher. He's a perfect fit at the top. And he's got 3 controllable years. So will he cost a ton? Absolutely. Absolutely. And then a guy that I'm not sure if anybody's thinking about, but came up to my mind was Eloy Jimenez from the Chicago White Sox. Now, he doesn't switch it. He doesn't bat from the lefty side, but he's a young, controllable player. He's got several years left, and he's got a super high ceiling. He's had a couple issues recently, but he's coming back. And let me just give you some. I'm going to pull up his stats here. And again, nothing sexy. He had about 300 and how many at-bats did he have? Pull it up here. 292 at-bats with a WAR of 1.7. With 16 home runs, he batted .295. So his contact hitting abilities a little bit more advanced than most of these other guys. So it's just something to keep in mind. He's got a good arm in the outfield, and he's got good splits, righties versus lefties, hitting both sides. So, and again, that same thing, young, controllable piece for the outfield. But the difference between Eloy Jimenez and I think Brian Reynolds as it compares to these other guys is these guys have teammates that could be fits for the Yankees and part of a multiplayer trade. It's a bigger trade. They're still looking for a lefty or just a powerful reliever, Yankees. So I'm going to give you 2 guys. Eloy Jimenez's teammate, Aaron Bummer, lefty. He's got the ability to throw short innings and long innings. His versatility is key. But he's also not a free agent until 2025 if the team options are not exercised. And there's 2 options for 2025 and 2026. So the Yankees, if they trade for him, they can keep him until 2027. Those options are on the cheap at like $7.5 million. If you get a guy that productive, on the cheap like that, and there's no team that's not going to exercise those options. So, and again, that would be a nice little trade package right there. It's going to cost a lot, yes, but it wouldn't cost as much as Brian Reynolds and his teammate David Bednar, who's their dominant closer. Now, he is not asked to be traded, so I don't know if it's possible. But again, this guy has a career 2.98 ERA. He had a 2.61 this year. He was 3-4, okay, with a WAR of 1.3. And again, his WAR is affected by because his team's terrible. So, but that would be the biggest package, I think, multiplayer trade: Brian Reynolds and David Bednar. But at the worst, if they got one of those Arizona Diamondbacks outfielders, they'd be in pretty good shape. Okay, or if they got Eloy Jimenez and Aaron Bummer, they'd be in pretty good shape. So there are options out there. And I wanted to throw out the White Sox option because Andrew Benetendi's over there now. They have a surplus of outfielders too. So there's a chance that if they give them a deal that they probably can't refuse, then they might be able to, pry 2 of these guys away. And again, the Yankees roster's at 43. So they need to clear 3 spots just to get to 40 before anything else. So the trades are going to be happening. And this is probably going to be like a 5-for-2 kind of thing. So the Yankees are going to have to clear roster spots and give up good prospects. And again, like with regards to Pittsburgh, I've said this before, I think they can headline a package with Jason Dominguez and a bunch of other people as well to get a guy like Brian Reynolds by himself. So, and again, I've said this too. Brian Reynolds to me is the finished product of what we want Jason Dominguez to be in a couple years. So I'd rather get that guy now so we can take advantage of the prime years of the guys that we have here that are on huge contracts. So, but that's just my opinion. I know a lot of people don't want to trade Jason Dominguez and blah, blah, blah. But keep in mind, we got Harrison Bader, the best defensive center fielder in baseball, on the team. And Brian Reynolds also profiles the center fielder, so it's easier to move from a center field to a corner spot than it is the other way around. Now, Jason Dominguez looks like he's going to profile as a corner outfielder too because he's got a big body size. He also has a high ceiling, but he also has maturity and hustle issues. Mostly hustle, not maturity. But that, to me, worries me a little bit. And again, if you can get a guy like Brian Reynolds, yeah, you're going to have to give up a package that's going to punch you in the gut for a little bit. Like any of these guys. If you're going to get Varsho, and keep in mind, the Astros are interested in Varsho. Okay, so they didn't get the catcher they wanted, Wilson Contreras. They could plug him behind the plate. They could do that. They didn't get Christian Vasquez either. The Twins got him. So he's a guy that can go over there and replace Michael Brantley in the outfield, or replace a catcher, or just give them an extra depth as catcher. So that would stink too. That would really stink too. They've added Jose Abreu and they're defending world champs, and they've lost Verlander, but that rotation is really good. So, but anyway, let me know what you think of these. Okay, of these options and the White Sox option. And which option would you choose? Would you choose a different option? Give me your insight. Let's load up the comments, and we'll definitely talk about this tonight in the live stream. So I'm hoping to see you all there. But have a great Saturday. Stay warm. I'll talk to you later.